and good, just settling in, getting used to riding the horse again, metaphorically speaking. Good.
It's just
Good.
Yes. So Josh is here with us now. Spend some time together, and we have a lot of fun here.
It'd be nice to hear. You could always come and have a holiday. Always welcome, dear. It's good here. Really just good, honest, strong life.
Yeah.
And digesting a lot of ideas fearlessly, open to be able to absorb everything about us. Because the ratio of this, I was saying this to Josh this afternoon, there's density in things, but there's also luminosity. And it's just at that simple point we begin, in emptiness there, just there, right there. Nothing more, nothing added on, no conversation, nothing to fix. Moving when it moves, follows the prerogatives, allows the disposition to show up, allows previous learning to show up, allows all thought to arise, sees everything as a field, everything, neither one preference over another, everything equal, nothing in it really, all just happening. Not to pinpoint anything really out, except that it's useful sometimes to pinpoint things out. It's different. The scope's different. It doesn't matter really what the conditions are. Even in a body that has pain sometimes, the emptiness is always the principle. And you just touch in on that every so often. Everything else happens naturally. The inclinations that arise, those things, the baggage, old memory, unnecessary when one doesn't get entangled in it, just sees it as arising, it softens things out and you're just left with the field of this, which is perfectly adequate for wherever it's moving. This is its most optimal here, this, right now, not anything in the future, no future needed, but the future comes, it seems. Very, almost Zen, but like this is taking from Buddhist, and I avoid the architecture of any type of isms at all, but it's really good to look at all this stuff too for its architecture, for what's showing up here with its own understanding of truth right now, here, present, this. And that confidence with very, simple means for wherever its interest is. And all of this arises in the natural state, not a state, it's not fixed, it's not anything, it's nothing that can be marked, but it seems to be throughout everything too. So equally, there seems to be immersion. There seems to be the, what is that called? The enterer, the stream enterer in Buddhism, the stream enterer. So, this is sort of just getting that simple thread in meditation, that middle, most centered middle, the buddhi. And everything else, for whatever deliberation, is just done intelligently. Good communication develops good communication. A strong body is important, I think. Are there any problems?
There's no problem. We have some questions from the audience. Question number 1. What is Turiya?
It's the most sublime fluid connectedness with emptiness. It's equal in all the states of consciousness and sleeping and dreaming. It's always there, no matter, or not being seen to be anything at all. Breathe away the knots, maybe. Unlock it a little bit. And breathe in a little bit. Take a good big A-frame breath. Let's cue up, because you've got to get this. See that? Yeah. The equipoise, it's all the way through from the physical all the way up to the suprasensitive in the feeling body. So that whole samadhi thing is there from the base ground energy, feeling, dense, heavy, gravity, weight, what all the things, those attributes, right up to light, suprasensitive feeling in the body. Those vibratory vibes. You breathe that into the body, and that can be directed. That's all Kundalini is. So, you use it. It's a good way of balancing out the energies. Like if you've got a tempest of energies or over appetites, you can use breath like that. And a cup of tea, maybe. A cup of tea is always nice. And this is good samadhi here. You see, you just relax into that. And if you can walk it, you can't buy any of the thought. If you only that's useful. Thought can show up, but you don't buy into thought. You stay centered, and you stay in the breath for a while. If you want that cleansing, you need tahir. You need a good stretching out in that shoulder of yours. Just know the other one, that one, right here. Your left shoulder. Left shoulder. Pull it back a little bit. All that muscle there needs to be loosened up more. But you have to be a bit of a yogi to get the pranayama. Yeah. It doesn't have to be much. It's in your calisthenics and things. So you just build up the body strength, whatever's accessible. And that opens up the A-frame breath. So you don't have to pitch for that, like easy, sublime, open intelligence. It's just there, sort of cued in. And breathe it in. Yeah. Most people seem to have problems with overbearing thought, of needing to be in action all the time, or resistant to action when action's there. Too much in the thinking about it, rather than just being, like, you've got to be zen with this, like really, like when you do dishes, you do dishes. I like to do dishes joyously. Maybe I should do them a bit better though.
Second question is, what's Kundalini?
I think it's a lot. A little bit reluctant to sort of talk about it, actually.
Maybe the whole question is one sentence. What is Kundalini if one is just supposed to inquire who we are?
When it comes to certain drives in the body, there's a certain degree of yogic practice you need to be able to, and you can do it from this way, but where you consciously practice breath into a certain center, into the body, to arrest those drives. So, obviously, if it's sexual, you'll be putting your energy there, but you need to be able to do this very, very carefully. And that seems to be a practice in itself that I profess not to really know very much about. I know what works for here when I was doing it. I was always interested in the medulla oblongata. I was really interested in the light, luminosity aspect of yoga. So I went toward that in my yoga practice. And so the aspect of Kundalini that I favored was to, and you usher the breath, and you take a vaulted breath up through the medulla oblongata. That's the sense of it. And it's like a cooling effect and a light effect that amplifies the sense of light. And it's sort of here now because I know what it is. And it was always there before, but for some reason I want to heighten that thing. And I think that's a really good practice too. So these yogic things are there. So that's Kundalini. To me, it's much more. And there's ways of moving fluids and, the tantric thing. And no, not interested. Too much work. Too lazy. I've got other things I want to do. But it's good to do with just breath. Take it, get a good and direct the breath into that center. Like if it's activated and you want to cool it. Yeah, you can be yogis here. Why not? Good yogis. And you do it powerfully. You might not have to do it very often. You just center in. You've got to get your symmetries really, really good and get your breath. And that's Kundalini.
Perhaps if allow Ekomananda to complement what Sunyata just shared. Now, many people practice Kundalini Yoga. Ekomananda was also trained in Kundalini Yoga. She was teaching Kundalini Yoga. Now, lots of people have this misunderstanding about Kundalini. Certainly, Kundalini practices is to bring consciousness down to the body and awaken the channel or the nadi or the energetic connection. So speaking of the energetic body, there are many different wires. The invisible energetic wires go through inside the body, and they all reach the 7 major nadis, which is 7 chakras. The reason people practice Kundalini is that they find that connection with these kind of practices. And what does this practice do, or how does the Kundalini practices or yoga, asana practices, Qigong, Tai Chi, breathwork, how are they differ to self-inquiry? Perhaps this is what you're asking. Kundalini is part of Raja Yoga. Now, Raja Yoga will help you to practice self-inquiry. What we see clinically is people who ignore their trauma, unresolved issues, or suppress the emotions, and they go Ramana ashram, or they go to sit in Vipassana, or they go to Anandamayima ashram. There are many saints and sages that liberated themselves. So you can go to sit with the master, but why only few, really few people, countable, handful people truly have that, or truly fully liberated, if we may say so? That's because certain stuff happened in your past. They need to be processed properly. When we say properly, that means you actually learned let go. Not just by talking, not just by saying that I forgave my mother, I forgave my ex-husband. It has nothing to do with how you wanted you to behave towards certain events happened in the past. But it's an act. It's a change of a perception. It's an upgrade of your energetic experience towards certain thing happened in the past. Now, certainly we can't change what happened in the past, but we can change how we feel towards a past event. So when Kundalini energy opened, now that is all the 7 chakras, 7 major nadis need to be open. Then your Shushuna nadi will need to open. Shushuna nadi is simply this, it's a space in the spinal cord. So it's the same, it's not a position in the physical body. It's a part of the energetic body, but it's sitting in the center similarly to the spinal cord position. So if you have any chakra that is blocked, you do a lot of different yoga practices to open up Kundalini. And predominantly Kundalini is through breath work and physical exercises, cleansing, and Kriya. Kriya is called action. What is in action? It's energy in action, Dharma in action, devotion in action. But it simply, Kriya means action. But in terms of physical practice and those yogic exercise, it actually means cleansing. So different breath work, so different physical movements, different yogic exercise, it cleanses the energy. When you cleanse the energy, and afterwards you feel a lot of lighter. So the energy is shifting inside you. When we say shifting, is when your chakras are connected. So from the base, Muladhara, Swadhisthara, solar plexus, Anahata, Vishuddhi, again, and Sahasrara, these 7 major energetic station, they're all connected to one another. When that happens, your energy goes like boom. You have that sort of thing. But that is just one of Kundalini awakening events. And this body is still experiencing Kundalini awakening. It's a continuous journey, which means it's continuously cleansing the stuff that you have built in the past, whether you are aware of or you are not aware of, because this energetic movement in the body, most people don't know what is happening within the body. So if we have not cleansed those energy in the past, then self-inquiry can feel confusion and being thrown away by this light energy, because we can't ground them. The body is unable to stabilize those energy. When you're unable to stabilize the mastery energy, so you sit in Ramana's ashram, you got this energy in Virupaksha cave, right? In Skandashran ashram, or in the meditation room, or sit with in Ramana's shrine, just in front of him. Now that energy, thousands of people going there worship, right? You can see you don't have to do anything. You just need to be there, and you're so clear. Even though sometimes you feel like you're dying, that's ego is dying. It's a good thing, because the ego, the part of you that think I know this, right? That I know needs to go. So Kundalini certainly will help with self-inquiry. Without a Kundalini, can you do self-inquiry? Certainly. Now, everybody's journey towards liberation, towards self-inquiry is somewhat different. What works for another body may not work for you, right? What works for you may not be totally different to another person. Not everybody is going to come to self-inquiry, because there are different ways to be liberated. So some people are pure Kundalini practitioner, or Hatha yoga practitioner, or Iyengar yoga practitioner, right? So there are many different kind of yogic practice as well. What we say perhaps is what works for you and what is available for you. You might think you wanted to do Kundalini, but you don't have the time, you don't have the money to do Kundalini courses, you don't have the avenue, because you need the proper space, like at least 3 square meters for your body to move, maybe 4 square, along that space. You need the space, you need time, you need dedication to do yoga. But self-inquiry, the convenience of that is you can do it anywhere, anyhow, how you sit, how you stand, wherever you are, so long the mind is here, which is, so you can do it anywhere without any premise, without any precondition, without this fluffy, fancy setup, right? So that's the key difference, if that explains the question or addressed the question. And next question is there anything like imposing some other's suffering on us? So the question, let us translate this question is, can somebody impose suffering on us? If we read that correctly. Or is there anyone or anything that can impose pain on us? That's the question. Sunyata, do you want to go ahead and explain that?
Well, I'm sorry.
Or share your view on that. Ekomananda's opinion is no, there's no one can impose anything on you. It may look like that. Particularly in some parts of the world, people believe in there's a dark magic, black magic, things like that. There is a collective belief that this body took that as mine, because everybody around you believe that there is dark magic. So I believe there is dark magic as well. Because in my village, in my town, in my county, in my state, in my country, dark magic seems to be a phenomenon. And everybody believes that. And so it is impossible or nearly impossible for you to not believing there is no dark magic. So that is the collective belief can impact individuals' viewpoint on certain phenomena, certain events, certain things that happens around us. So whenever that event happens that we can't explain it properly, we will attribute that to God or to dark magic.
If you're going to go, I have to intervene there. If you're going to go to that type of energetic field thing, nothing gets beyond or cuts into the psychophysical aspect of an aura, a person, because it feels that it has like a natural force field and it's in a healthy state. It's only when it invites it in through guilt or something like this, and then that window is open, you see. But the natural state, that force field isn't really there, actually. It's all this, and it's just pure. But there seems to be karma written in these things. So you just have to look at the health of your own energy. And this is where you jump back into things like Kundalini. I would say, really, it's better just to learn to relax into the natural state, settle down into basic way of being, get back to the ground, be very, very simple, and look carefully, be courageous. Don't be taken in by all arising thoughts. Just look at them like you would see any other. And then you start seeing things differently. It's an arrangement. And we use these things. They have utility for us knowing how to cooperate through these different forms for those things that look to be convenient, conventional ways of doing things, even though they're a bit la-di-da, or polite ways of doing things, even though sometimes it might pay to be stronger. These types of subtle aspects that affect moving. Sorry, I've sort of gone away from the center of the question a bit. But I just let myself wander through all of this. I look, for wherever it takes. It's like a forest. This, that thing that looks to be the very epistemic fabric of thought, where it can look into thought no matter what its nature is. It can even be a difficult past thought. And it just looks at it like it would a piece of broccoli. Maybe with a little bit more scientific interest now, to see more of the structure, understand what those things are, because a lot of times all there is a mechanism in the person which is arranged to function in these terms. And for most of it, we just cooperate in that language form, if you understand what I'm saying. We see that to be very, very matter of fact. What is our conventional way of being in the place where we've grown up, in the places we feel comfortable, with the ones we call our family, for where we take liberties, for where there are liberties. But there's even room for liberties. There's a buoyancy, there's a beauty, a poetry, like not something that has to be double thought. It's just part of it. How can you separate any of that? This is the nature of this. There's no separation in anything anyway. You know what I mean? So that fabric that looks to be going vacillating between yes and no, or whatever that vibration interest is, let it be. It's that courageous, it's that buoyant. You know, like there's something in there that's really good to look at. You know, you've got to take interest with more the subtle degree of how things show up, because a lot of this we don't have language for what it is to be human. We're only exercising within the parameters of language because that's where humanity's gotten to now, to be able to cooperate. But now we're communicating across the world with one another, in different nations between one another. It's a completely different fabric. We're looking at something really different here. It's like, you can see like a bridge. You can't take it, nothing could be taken away from this. Nor would I want to take any bit of it away. There is acceptance through all of this, very deeply. You know, it's not an idea of perfection. It's just relaxing in the natural state. There's no pursuit. It's, you know, but, you know, for where there's interest, curiosity, job to be done, simple, matter-of-fact things, nice relations with people, however, whatever makes things move nicely. And there you move with grace, I think, as best you can. Maybe a bit of jester I'd throw in, just for fun. But, you know, walk in grace. Beautiful.
So what Sunyata said, this relaxing in the natural state, it appears to be super easy way of living. So all this idea of acceptance, letting go, live in a positive attitude and that wholesome beingness, and none of this. So you can see the words that Shunyata chooses or speaks. It's beyond, it's not bypassing, it's beyond new age spirituality. And that a new age spiritual.
It's all right though, because the temperament's really nice here, just getting something. And there's something about that too. There's something organic going on, because, you know, there's so many people coming out on the aspect of non-duality. But this goes, it's beautiful, you know, like it's not that it's anything different in life. It still has its aspect of pain in the body, sometimes suffering, maybe even having to work through thought, but it never loses its center. That center is just really beautiful. It can be really strong, like an arrow, and then, but not an iota of a moment. And it's just there, beautiful.
And just that arrow, when it hits the right spot, it hurts. It hurts so bad. And even fear. And when that dies, when the fear dies, when the arrow shoots right there in the center of your ego, then it's good. Then good things happen.
Well, no, that's just a metaphor for what goes on in any being. So, you know, like this sees itself fully. But sometimes what's going on is it's really just held within a set of ideas, an episteme. It's the mind. It feels like the conditioning. The conditioning's not at fault. It's just that it's not relaxing to beyond that, just being able to go. and breathe beyond that. And again, grace is the best way, honestly. Grace is the best way. And because there's what ends up happening is, and this is particular for a man, a lot of ma comes out of the fabric of the culture. It's beautiful. And people have a sensitivity. I've known some really fine people in my life who have been so lovely to me. So it makes me feel such deep humility. It's the truth of a life of being preoccupied with all of this. I wouldn't have anything be removed. So delicate, delicious, beautiful. Thank you. Yep. You never erase that's for gratitude. It might sort of just look like it's part of the floorboards. We have so much to feel grateful for, and we work from there first. Like I've always been close to the Viragi paths, which is sort of more like a householder, but really sort of tied with it. And that works good for me. But these sort of dispositional things, just carriers for a vehicle, which is a person through the world. And we all have, this is a person with really particular predilections. And that there in its highest sense, and this is where the Raj Yoga comes in, it has to do with the sattvic qualities, the rajas qualities, and the tamas qualities. So, you start looking at these higher rate, because what you really love is the clarity, the lucidness, the ability to be able to stay open to many challenging things, to be a center of stillness in wildness. Beautiful. Yeah, grace. People don't drink enough of it, and it kisses the very edge of the natural state. It's in its best there. Really easy to meditate there if you want to go in and just, that's long. That's sahaja samadhi. So whenever you want to chill out, that's where you go. And everything's done. And every day, when everything's done, you just put that little bit of time aside. Find a warm spot. Do 20 minutes meditate. I like doing that. Anything more?
May I return to second question a little bit? Sometimes Tahir has subjective feeling that during sadhana some energy is created, but due to some blockage in maybe in nadis or in chakras, this energy can't go, and it becomes more concentrated, and after some times he has some problems in his life, maybe some pain, illness, through which this energy goes out. He has such subjective understanding of second question.
What I would say is, for you, that more dynamic breath work before sleep, because that protective aura is just naturally more elastic in you when you're relaxed. But you have to be totally relaxed. You know, it has nothing to do with anyone else. Yeah. And then that's the clearing in itself. You know, sometimes the energy, when the energy is open, it can amplify it out, you know, like meters beyond it. And it's just like protective. Beautiful. Because it's sort of like bees together. And humans are together when they're harmonious to be together. They're like bees together. They create their own warmth. Beautiful. Very subtle. So when it comes to the organizing energies, you use the breath to fully align the body. So, you know, like, where is the blockage? You know, you look at that, and then you breathe into that center. But you've got to get like your symmetries, do some yoga and stuff, you know, get your body strong and open up. You do open up your body. You're a young man. Yeah. That will make it. And then it would sit. But good, you know, once all the day's chores are out of the way, get rid of the day's have-dos, and then, you know, your time. That's your time. Then meditate, then good. But a bit of yoga too. Yeah?
So breath work is one tool. So Sunyata refers to breath work quite often, which is pranayama. There are many different kinds of pranayama. Now, in your case, that the body notice that a sensation in certain area, let's say chest. Often chest is it's the very common area that we see clinically. People have stuff here, feel heavy, heavy, heavy. If it increases that sensation, it could be heat, could be weight, could be butterfly feeling, or feeling unclear. Sometimes this energy sensations is undescribable, like we don't have words to describe those sort of sensation. If you're using breath work, it needs to be really, really intensive breath work to push it to a certain level that can absorb the energy that is stored in the body. So something stores in the body, whatever that might be, we don't know here. and you're most welcome to speak to Ekomananda separately. But as far as the the common interest is concerned, if the body is unable to practice breath work or kriya, pranayama, to an extent that it can absorb that disturbing energy, then the therapy steps in handy. If you do not practice pranayama, if you do not have someone you can work with on a therapeutic basis, then yoga and Ashtanga is really, or Kundalini or Hatha yoga. It doesn't really matter what type of yoga you do. All effort will work for the same purpose. This purpose is to be able to sit silently with yourself. That's all yoga's purpose. But not everybody needs that, right? Like Sunyata does not do yoga. Now this body also drop yoga. Some people have different means, different tools, right? So how you screw a screw, you can use a screwdriver, you can use an electronic screwdriver, you can use different head of a screwdriver that does the same job. So if there's something, some energy stuck, stored in the body, that needs to be processed. In other words, that needs to be released. And what is that the body accumulated? You can sit quietly and watch that sensation surfacing. Now, self-inquiry has nothing to do with helping process the stored energy until you reach certain level. How do we say that? That is, the self-inquiry, it's a direct path, it's a shortcut to self-liberation. But can everybody step onto that shortcut and be comfortable with it?
It's not a shortcut. It's no cut. No. There's nothing to do.
It's a direct path, and I mean shortcut may not be correct.
No, nothing to do. All perfectly fine. But like if you're talking about a special means like yoga, just keep it really, really concise.
Okay.
Yeah, keep it really, really concise.
So you either do yoga or you do therapy.
It doesn't have to be all complicated like that either. You can just do simple breath work. Like that.
And you have to be consistent.
And then you take that for whatever center whatever charge you center it. I just relax the body very, very. Wait. And then the moment that you've done that, you've been settled down. It would take 3 or 4 minutes, honestly, at the end of a night to see if you had any agitation about any of this stuff, about broken auras, right? And do that before you go to sleep, and then lay down on your back and be in your aura and look at it really carefully, really, really carefully. See the luminosity. Look at the luminosity. You have to go right through the feeling body, out through the feeling body, and just look at it. Look at it and see if there's a hole in it. Where? It needs mind to have that harness, and it needs that hook from somewhere to get it to go that way. Yeah. Or no magic. A clear space. None of that. not here. You know, but dreams can happen. And be mindful. And different cultures and different times do different things. But most of it's harmless. I just think, you know, chill out and do things nicely to the best of your ability. Yeah. I think that's the best way.
Nothing special in it.
Yeah, nothing special.
Is there a sense to gather, to collect as more energy as possible, or it's normal to drain it sometimes, maybe once a week, somehow drain it?
Well, sometimes, I mean, I wouldn't sort of say this, but, you know, like sometimes the body just naturally would fast, but for convention keeps on doing things to be in its family circumstance, or, you know, to do the right thing, or because it's eating with friends. No, it would just go into its own fast, just naturally. And then those times, it resets the body when you give the body a good hunger, a really good hunger. Really let it, and when you come back to the food, and the body actually rejoices in flavors like that. Get a good, and sometimes that's really a good reset for the body. It's certainly good for the psyche. It's like replugging in again, because it resets all that. It goes, oh yeah, that's better. You're more in control, because it's, you know, like the body person. This isn't about an inner person controlling, you know, like the ghost in the machine. It's all of this. Including this. So, you know, like, good, I think. Excellent. You know, like, we're very, very chilled out people, that's for sure. You know, beautiful. And, you know, like, I think there's something really beautiful about this very, very still way of moving. It's sort of like, it is more elegant. It can be playful, you know. It's not about putting limits to anything. A community of contemplating. Or maybe we call it the night, Ekomananda.
I just wanted to add a little bit on the breathwork. Sunyata suggests 3 to 4 minutes before bedtime. That might work for somebody, but in all rigid or proper yoga practice, it's not a 3 to 4 minutes. It's a 4-hour breathwork, and that you do on a regular basis. That's Kundalini or any yoga
no,
practice.
No, I was
You need
talking
to
about.
be.
No, I was talking about something much softer. I was talking about you simply settle the body down, go into the confident state of meditation, into repose, look at the luminosity in the body, and see if there's a hole in the aura. Really, really simple yoga.
That is, some people already arrived to that level, but most people aren't there. They aren't relaxed.
Oh, Tahir, I go and try it, Tahir, and see how you go. Right. Yeah. Yes. And just wait until you go to sleep into the energy body and see where it is. Yeah.
I didn't quite understand your question just now. When you say it drains, is that you're saying that you feel your body drained?
Do you ask me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. We didn't understand your question. But Sunyata just went on talking, so.
Second question. Um, he meant that he can drain energy, drain,
You mean
empty.
release?
Yes, release energy.
Oh,
Maybe,
good. If you
but
can release what's not serving you, then you're on top of everything already.
I will lose it.
Use what?
Lose.
Don't know what that
God,
was.
He's afraid he's losing if he.
Yes, I hear that.
Are you afraid of you losing energy?
yes.
To what, Tahir?
Maybe maybe that energy would be useful for self-inquiry, but I lost it.
Imaginary or symbolic?
Uh, uh, uh,
What's that? What's the concern?
Tahir?
concern.
I don't know.
Sorry, I can't explain.
That's all right. That's all right. You know, we can always have a chat privately anyway. Look, you should, we'll just have a chat privately. That might be better rather than online. All good. All good. Easy.
That fear and discomfort we all experience this from time to time, and the mind tries to grab something as we consider we know that might be useful for something. And the moment we recognize it's useful, we don't want to let it go. And if we imagine that we're losing something that is useful, and then the mind goes on. And one thought generates another thought coming, another thought coming. It becomes a train of thoughts. So self-inquiry is very simple in that it seizes the loop of the questions. It simply just ask to whom the thoughts are arising. So to answer that, you have to understand the question of who am I, or you have that expanded state, being able to absorb that question, so this question no longer stands. So the prolonged silence on inquiry, who am I, who am I, who am I, is basically to look at this thought is just and watch those and thinking, I mean, whose thought is that, right? If I'm not here, because in all scenario, in all situations, the first thing we say is I, is my thought, right? But if that's not mine, you have to challenging that. So whose thought is that? Or where do those thoughts come from? And so as you continue to investigate where thoughts come from, you have to sit there, watch the thoughts. And as you watch that, you actually see thoughts going, disappearing. Doing that, you begin to understand the mechanism of what thought does to the body. And begin to have a sense of that thoughts are not mine. And because that's the premises that people suffer. As the body identified, that's my thought. It's I'm here. I'm experiencing that. So that's why it's so straightforward. And how Ramana developed this and shared this to all of us. It's so simple because when we're challenging that, we couldn't find anything that is solid, can scientifically explain what I am. Right? To answer the question, what is I? Who am I? You can't answer that because none of this actually stands to scrutiny. If you scrutinize the question answer, it doesn't stand. There's no way it can stand. It will fall. Because it's based on the false assumption of cause effect and time is linear. All of these things need to be factored in, but none of this is it's sustainable. But in terms of your daily living, how the body is functioning, how am I feeling right now, right here? Like I've got flu for this week. I got pain in my chest. What is going on? And that is an immediate situation. We have to deal with it. So as far as the energy is concerned, you have to look at what does that energy show up for? Right? How is that associated with self-inquiry? How am I going to relax about that? Because you say natural state, natural state. Is this part of a natural state? Like the body experiences pain? As a matter of fact, it is, but the mind will reject that. The mind first is thinking is, no, the natural state is when I'm happy, when I have no pain, when I feel joyful, when I feel whole. But if the body is suffering, that's not natural. But no, it's natural because you look around you, who does not experience pain, at different degrees of pain, different degrees of certain emotion, right? And that's certainly it's natural because the body will respond to what other people say to him or her, and that's natural, right? Or if the body does not process certain emotion, so let's say mom said something really nasty to me, saying, right, I asked you to do this, you can't do this right. I asked you to do that, you can't do it right. What can you do, right? You're so useless. Let's just say that's what mom said this morning. And if we cannot process that, which means we do not have the tools to release that, do not have the tools to make peace with what mom said, and we hold that. It doesn't leave you. Right? So that's how this energy is affecting us, that we get sick, we get feeling lost, we feel no good, I can't do a thing, I'm incapable, I can't realize my dreams, I've got a certain gift, but I don't know how to realize that, and I've spent time in ashrams, but I don't know why I'm here. Right? So all of these things happens because you know certain things happen in the past. I mean, we say they're just here and now, but to many that past events do have a grip on us, do impact our current well-being, and you can't will them away. You can't intellectualize them and hoping that your life is going to be fantastic. You can intellectualizing your understanding, but that does not mean you have processed that emotion. Process means you actually have to find a way to dissect that event, like how you dissect thoughts, like how you look at thoughts. And whose thought is that? Whose thought is saying that, okay, it's time to eat dinner. Okay, thinking about dinner, what food are we going to eat? Now, whose thought is that? It's very easy to mistake that it's mine. But in terms of for the body to function in the physical world, we say it's my thought, or it's my clothes, my body. You know, we say that. And that's, we call it the norm, or we call it conditioning, we call it programming. But imagine if you were born in an ashram, grow up with Ramana and with an enlightened being. The enlightened being says there's no I. But you go to Ananda Mayama's ashram, is different. She speaks God all the time. Hey, that's very confusing. You see what information that your body is receiving and how your body is making sense of what you receive, and then interpret that. So your interpretation, where does the interpretation come from? Again, it's the same question to answer that: whose thought is this? And to whom the thought is arising? Therefore, you keep on investigating. You ask questions to answer the first question until you have no more question. And that is something cannot be scrutinized, which means can stand for challenge. We went a long way to explain something bodily. We sort of integrate that therapy method, energetic approach to self-inquiry approach. What we love about Sunyata's sharing is he's got a really totally relaxed attitude about things, and the ability to joke about anything, right? And therefore,
it's range.
you know, go back to listen to the videos, and it's sometimes you just listen. You lie on your bed when you go to sleep, and you listen to his words and see how he is interpreting or sharing this natural state a lot differently. Now, this language, what we're here to communicate, it's different to Ramana's language, right? Ramana's language, who am I? We have to be able to interpret that to modern language so that it suits people's life. And you can see these non-dual beings, teachers, guys, shooting up everywhere in Earth, right? And if you look at them carefully, they speak a little bit differently to one another. Now, Josh sits there. Josh has followed or have dabbled with different teachers in the past 5 to 10 years, right?
What is that?
And Josh,
Yeah, that delved. Not
Delve.
just
yeah,
that.
delved, right? Delved. So he perhaps have some experience to share with us how he observes each spiritual, say, teacher or sharer.
Pond. Right, let me just throw you in the pond, Josh.
That's okay. I have something I prepared. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, well,
The driver said, I'm just going to have a sleep.
no, it's fine. I mean, to hear, well, how do you experience your kind of yourself, like you just right now?
Well, it's cold
I don't
here.
know.
You don't know. Well, that's good. That's a good place to kind of begin, because, and that really kind of tells us something insightful about where we do start and where each of us start, which is that not knowing. When you're a child, a baby, like babies don't have a thinking or analyzing mind. Or if you were an animal, animals don't have these kind of thought-based processes that go on. And we look at
they do, but they're just attributes within
Sure.
the schema of the luminosity of
sure,
intelligence, because it's from the intelligence in that we learn, not the other way around.
Yeah.
We don't learn into form. No. We learn where it happens.
Right.
That's why the utility is so
Right.
strong.
Anyway, I guess the kind of pointer in that is that, or maybe it's better to just stick with the first one. So, that's right. So it's, I guess what I'm trying to point to there is just to say, in this moment, without a thought, we can say there's no concept on reality, and resting in that moment. So if you're just kind of present with your breath or awareness itself, you can ask yourself the question, are you aware? And you might say, yeah, I'm aware. And if you then ask yourself the question, well, what is it that knows that I am or that I'm aware? You just say, I don't know. It's just it's awareness, I guess. It's just the quality of awareness is, you could say, the kind of underlying foundation on which the rest of our experience appears to develop from spontaneously. So it's not like, you're Tahir and I'm Josh. In some way, that's true. We could say, yeah, this body here is Josh, and there's Sunyata, and there's Ekomananda, and Praveen, and all of this. What we kind of look to in that moment is to see what our essential, the ground on which all of reality stands is simply just this, I don't know. It's this empty open space. And then a thought might come in and think, oh, well, what about this? And what about da-da-da-da-da? That's okay. That's a thought. That's appearing still in this empty open space. So if you recognize that the empty open space is always there, it's not, it doesn't have a beginning or an end. It doesn't get affected by any thoughts. They might seem to obscure it briefly. And then you can say, well, maybe what I am is this empty open space. And it's right here in our experience. It's not some distant kind of exposition on, like, you don't have to go anywhere. You just go to yourself. Who I am. That's the question. Who am I? Who am I is pointing not to anything in any direction, but something right here. So, yeah, that's another way to kind of look at it, I guess. Point toward it.
Well, a lot of what's been said tonight, I don't even understand what you're talking about. I sort of bypass all of the metaphysical stuff. It's just like immediate look really, really carefully and sort of say, no, this is too advanced. And I challenge it. Little babies have this amazing sensitivity. Sometimes when you tune in with them, right on the level of their intelligence, that's a really sensitivity going on there. Very, very particular. You know, intelligence is always here to be exercised. And, you know, and you have good full grace. It's staying really, really close to the moment, rather any other way. But still the fluidity of things is good. Nice management, good communication, working when you do. And what was once meditation is now everywhere through it, a type of deep contemplation, but can offset and engage in a nice reception, or, you know, like tending something different, or being, you know, like, you know, gracious, moving as best, you know, like good. It's so simple. So much Tao in it, I think. I like Tao. You know, just the groundless ground. You know, and an immediacy, you know, like if there's anything worth mastering, it's here in the self. You know, but not to take anything away. Not to let it, for where it's creative or moving forward or warm on something, or, you know, whatever. Let freedom, open, like poised, equipoise. You know, that's what it, like a serpent. It's like this Mahamudra, you know, equipoise, balance form. Beautiful. So just like being like a drip of nectar. You get it in your meditation. There's that thing where the centeredness, it just goes, it's a sweet spot. And it goes, and you can walk it, and you stay with the sweet spot. Nectar. And, you know, like, that's good. And people just run on this without even being conscious of it. It's part of the natural state. It's the kissing of it. Before it can be understood, we just see it as an idea, a set of symbols, pointers. We feel it though. It's there.
Great, Sunyata. There's another part of the question. More precisely, one suffering on behalf of another. What's your thought on that?
Say again. Ask me the question again.
One suffers on behalf of others. What's your viewpoint on that?
No, they don't. That would be a violation done to a person. That would be abuse. Outright. But no victim. But if it's danger, get out. Get help. Anyway.
From all different levels to answer this question.
If it's a moral speculation, well, you know, whatever.
No, I don't think it's a speculation. I think this might be someone tries to find an answer for his or her personal journey. In all levels of answer towards this question is no, there's no such thing called one suffers on behalf of another. if there is appeared suffering, one's going through tremendous pain, whether it's emotional, physical, then there is a learning in it. There is a reason behind it. And non-Jew will negate this method of trying to justify or explain the suffering situation or romanticizing this situation of suffering. To simplify this is, in the painful process, we learn. So how did diamond become diamond? Diamond was a piece of a rock. You can't tell there was diamond in it. They have to go through the milling process in order to become a diamond. And how does metal become iron, become a tool that we can use to be, you know, as a knife to cut vegetables. Before that, it was a piece of a rock, right? So it's the same thing. For grapes to become aged bottle of wine, it takes ages to go through, you know, crushing process is painful. You think so, right? If a human being crushed, you die. You're long gone. Do you think of grapes are like that? Don't think so. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know a thing, right? And then it goes through a long aging process. So you see human suffering like that. In that process, in that crashing, milling, being hammering exercise, in that journey, you learn something. It crushes your ego, but you learn what love is. And you became that because you have to look for that already in you, but you currently, you don't feel that, you don't experience that unconditional love because you've been crushed by other people. So you have to find that thing precious in you, because in external world you have not found that love or peace or happiness. What do? You go on a spiritual journey, right? That's how awakening happens. You go and search for love, happiness, inner peace, and eventually you'll find it. Because if you don't find it, you keep on suffering. So you cannot stop until you find it, which means what? You cannot stop your sadhana. Whether it's self-inquiry, whether it's qigong, whether it's yoga, whether it's serving people. There are different forms of sadhana, but it's all sadhana or dhamma, right? So when you do that, you're on the process of shining. Before you shine, before you can share that unconditional love, before you can shine for others or you can show people.
Oh, no, it's so long. It's enough. Enough. That's too long. It's just too long.
But
Dear
that's
me.
enough to explain
Come
that
on.
question,
How
the
many
answer.
millions of years? This is no wonder they started inventing sort of extra lives tacked on top. You know, you can get to this in an instant, you know, but you have to drop all these beliefs.
There's no beliefs,
No,
Sunyata.
you have to look very, very carefully. I'm not saying anyone, I'm not pointing at anything.
This is just the tools.
I'm not asking to, I'm not criticizing it wholeheartedly. You can work out what is valued and what isn't. That's for everyone else to think. I'm not saying anything about that. But it doesn't have to be long-winded like this. It's immediately here. It always has been.
Right. So you go tell this person who is suffering what is immediately here. And the answer just pain. I'm fucking in pain. Help me be free.
There's only here. I'm not talking to a hypothetical something. There's only here. This is it. It's a very clunky way of doing things, but this is what this is. Nothing else. It's not a vehicle for some bloody ideologies. Yuck. Thank you. No. None of that. Not into it. Not an iota. Not one bit. No religion. Interest in religion. Respectful toward religion. You know, like,
I haven't
yes,
talked about religion, Sunyata.
not here.
Yeah, we're not talking about religion. But anyway, there's
And
one more question.
yes,
The last question is, how can we understand the chaos that's going on across the world?
turn on your phone. Yeah. And it's a long-winded story. Yeah. Mm. Well, it might be the end of time. Better clean up your act. What does that mean? Doesn't make any difference to me. It's horrible to know that these things go on. And it's very, very interesting to see how little power there is in the immediacy. I mean, we floundered even on our communications, and the most simple ones. Just the most simple requests are misunderstood between people who are familiar with one another. It's no wonder it's like it and more elsewhere. Humanity doesn't seem to collectively grow up, but being hooked into this stuff. And there are some serious downsides to humanity, that's for sure. And exactly what one's involvement would be at any moment, you can only see. You know, may we live in peaceful times. May we all live in peaceful times, please. And that would be my heartfelt side to it. Stop it. Stop it. It's very, very, it's already beautiful here. Nothing to change. And then let's see. Yeah. I'm not going to not see that. This doesn't rest on those that type of feeling account. It's more an energetic feeling. Sahaja doesn't really use emotion. Rarely, if there's any of this through, it's maybe an untidy thought that's just been missed or something where you surprised that it might even be there. Something just shows up. You clean it up. And it might be just an adjusting thing, that energies move and then all of a sudden something shows up that needs to be adjusted in the personality. All these things are natural. You see how it's just like, it seems so dumb, but it's also really astute, because it's easy to get wrapped up into the namesakes that things are being qualified by. There's traps in this too, in the language, and we know it. We've seen enough of them in our lives. Examples of it, if not right in our immediacy, if not even issued out of ourselves at times and caught out to do such a thing, to be manipulative or something. or however we qualify these things. There seems to be a clean mean, this that right through the middle there. And I wouldn't say it's a practice, it's more a feeling. It has a natural economy. Go down to the natural economy. Anyway, we'll leave it.
In other words, or use Ramana's interpretation, whatever shows up is just the appearance. So you go back to ask this question, who is trying to understand the chaos? So there's within the duality circle, let's just assuming, using a metaphor to describe this phenomena. So this is the chaotic world inside the circle, and you are in it too. So that you in that there, and trying to find answer within the chaotic world you want, right? Because the answer isn't there. You have to jump out of that zone. The answer is outside of that zone, which is to answer the question, who is wanting to understand the chaos? If you see the outside of the chaos, above the chaos, so you are not that. Because the mind will not find an answer in the chaotic world, because the chaotic world is the projection of the mind itself. So it won't find anything that is satisfiable, that can answer the question the mind asks. So therefore, you go back inside, is what is this that is asking this question? Because none of the intellectual answers can satisfy the mind. The mind will find a flaw to the answer, just thinking that's not right. How could this people bomb another country? The list goes on. It's never ending, and that's called life. And that goes on. It won't stop. Doesn't matter how clever you are, how well we understand non-duality, how happy we are, how compassionate we are. This things goes on and on. It's not new, and it's not going to end here. The chaotic world, the appearance, just like the sun, goes on, comes down, goes on, comes down. It keeps moving. It's not your business. So your business is, are you peaceful there inside? If you're peaceful inside there, if you figured out this question, who am I? Then the I being dissolved, then the body would have no more question. Because you are not the one who is asking the question. You totally, as you expand, right?
Oh, and saying, oh, what's that? Where is that? Where is that? Where the hell is that? On.
You can't talk about this.
Come on. Who is that? Who would be behind that? Come on.
Nobody. So we can't talk about this.
Well, no. You have to look at that really carefully, because that's who's talking at the moment through that mechanism. That's epistemic. You've got to look really carefully at that. It's a big one. Like I've got nothing to declare here. Bloody hell.
You got that? the question, whoever asked this question, Sunyata says he's got nothing to declare, where Ekomananda trying to systematically answer the question. And you see, it gets you somewhere. You see, it gets you somewhere, then you get lost somewhere. And that's brilliant. This is called self-inquiry.
Oh, good. Yeah. Anyway, you know, I love the total lack of pretension. That's good. That's great. Lovely. Like, everyone needs to just chill out. I think I need
What
to
do you mean,
take-
total lack of retention?
No, I didn't say that, but I'm not going to say it again. I'm getting really tired, actually, so I'm going to retire now. It's been sort of like a
Okay,
bit of a,
you retire. We're gonna sit here for 20 minutes, just sitting silent for a bit, okay?
how do I get rid of it?
No, don't get rid of it. You just you just go to your bed and you
I
retire
like
there.
rosy cheeks from there. I'm right sitting on
You
that.
look really good.
Rosy cheeks. I've gotten really, everyone's getting me really fit again at the moment, Tahir. I'm getting very strong. I'm getting strong. These two, Ekomananda
Yes,
and Josh, are making me walk.
you're looking pretty.
All right, I'm getting up. So life's good. I'm going to go and meditate on my bed now. The old man's going.
Yeah, Josh can replace you. Josh gonna sit in Shunyata's seat.
No, I'm okay.
It's good as you go.
Okay, we call for the night. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your wisdom, your experience, your insight, your presence. See you in our next love circle. That won't be July 1st, Saturday, Sunday, because July 1st, Sunday, we will be away. So we perhaps will switch the time, maybe second and the fourth Sunday, if that works for all. So we will communicate on WhatsApp. Have a lovely evening. Wherever you are, be love.